Everybody up? Did everybody make it up the stairs? Cool. So this is the space that you're currently in. We utilize as sort of meeting space over here. We have risers. People sit on these when we bring them in for meetings, and we usually present on this wall. And then the back half of the studio is sort of where we do our hands-on production of stuff. The screen printing studio is in the very back. You can see all the inks on the shelving back there. And then there's just like areas for people to come and draw and work and create. At any given moment, you guys happen to come on a good day, there's crap spread around everywhere from people who have done the inked letters that are downstairs on the wall for Foxtrot and different things. I think having that hands-on piece in our design is a really integral part of our process. Again, the inspiration from the artists. So I'm going to talk about the art portion of the business, sort of how it got started and where we see it heading. My husband, Mike Amon, started the business formerly known as BLDG Gallery and Studio in 2008. It was, at the time, he was doing screen printing, collaborating with a lot of local artists, Rob Warnick, Keith Neltner, other local people that I'm sure you guys all know, to do printed editions, limited edition prints. And he did some of his own as well. He also had an obsession with urban contemporary street art. Started in college and just sort of snowballed out of control. And in 2010, we took a trip down to Miami to Art Basel. It's a really large art exhibition that happens yearly down there. It's actually, art galleries come together in the convention center on South Beach, which is what we knew about, which is what we went down there to attend. Once we got there, we realized that there was this other culture that happened alongside Art Basel with the urban contemporary art. In the first year, we discovered this show called Primary Flight. It was basically artists from all over the world, mural artists, spread all throughout the city, doing their murals on walls live. There were 10 or 11 the first year. Mike was in heaven. We got in a cab and just drove from one mural to the other. The artists were there working. You could stop and talk to them, ask them about their work. It was one of the coolest experiences we've ever had. It was really awesome. And we found that they're just friendly and just eager to meet people and to talk about what they were doing. That year we met the artist collective, the London Police. And we approached him as he was doing, there's two of them, Chaz and Bob. We approached them as they were working on their mural and just started talking to them about their work. Mike was like, I have a gallery in Covington, Kentucky. And they were like, Kentucky? Covington, Kentucky? Like, you guys are doing things with artists and urban contemporary artists in Covington, Kentucky. And at the time we weren't, but we really wanted to. And so, of course, we were like, yeah, we totally are. And he had done some print series with a few less known artists in that world. They were very intrigued by this idea of Covington and Kentucky. They knew two things about Kentucky: fried chicken and horses. And we totally play out that stereotype. But we knew that there was so much more, and they were so excited to come. So we came back home, emailed them, the advantage that we had was that I can guarantee you he met no one else that owned a gallery in Kentucky the whole time that they were in Miami. They remembered us, and a year later, we had them in to do the first show. We collaborated with them. They did works in the gallery that were specific to Kentucky. A lot of the original pieces that they did, they had done for that show, and we sold them in the gallery. And then they did their first mural that's on a building off of Madison. Pardon? Yeah, the dog that's on the building called Boone Block, best known as Dick's Liquor. So, very appropriate if you know Chaz and Bob. That was really where it all started, and the collaboration was sort of born, and out of that was also born this idea and desire to create a destination in this really unexpected and ironic place for urban contemporary art. The fact that we have a London Police in Covington is sort of really unusual because typically they go to places like New York and LA to do their work and exhibit. So sort of like was just opened up a challenge for us. Like if they'll come here, who else can we get to come here and who else can we collaborate? That's sort of what Mike was doing when Chris and Jay came into the picture. And this idea of bridging the gap between art and design was born pretty organically. Mike was continuing to do stuff with artists. Vils came in. You guys saw the piece downstairs. Prefab came in and did some work. These guys, they're a collective out of the United Kingdom. Newcastle, they're doing a lot right now. Their stuff is really taking off. It's really beautiful work the way it's progressed. If you guys aren't familiar with them, look them up. They're doing amazing stuff. And it sort of has evolved, and but collaboration has been the basis of the art piece of this business. The collaboration between the artists to come in and do shows and then murals. Most recently, the Fail mural. We had the collective Fail come in from Brooklyn, New York, that if you haven't seen that mural, walk around the block and take a look at it. It's, yeah, it's gorgeous. It's amazing. And that has also inspired us to incorporate murals into a lot of the branding that we do in a lot of the branding projects. It was sort of an experiment to begin with. We said, what if? We tried it out. We weren't sure how it was going to go. And all of a sudden, our fine artist who's on staff, we never see him because he's out hanging off of walls all day long that we've designed painting. We've learned so much from the artists that have come in that's enabled us to really grow that part of our business. Then there's also the whole screen printing portion of the art part of our business. And obviously, that's based totally on collaboration between two artists, our printmaker and then the artist that created the design. And there's a lot of back and forth there. We just actually got artwork from the London Police. We're going to be releasing or doing a print with them that will be released in the near future. We don't really have a timeline on that yet, but the artwork's really cool, so keep a lookout. And the hope is to continue to collaborate with these urban contemporary artists to do more and more print work like that. Moving forward, where do we see sort of this part of our business going? It's always, there's strategy, but then there's also a little bit of surprise all the time. And I think if you aren't open to that, then you miss opportunities hugely. Most recently, we've hired a curator who is working full-time here. And we've really started to develop a collaboration between curation of art and creative direction. And it's really this interesting dynamic that's starting to happen, and we're still sort of figuring it out and working through it. But we have a project coming up in December. We're curating a show at the Carnegie with Matt Distel. It's called Objects in Context, and it's all about this sort of intersection between design and art and industrial design. What happens when you start to view things in a gallery as art, but then put them in context, and see them as functional pieces of your living space. And we've got artists matched up with designers, makers within the region, and there's some really cool stuff that's going to happen there. All sort of managing the process. We're utilizing some design strategy and some curation. We're sort of like learning what that process really is, and I think you'll see us start to do more and more and more of that sort of work as the years move ahead. We have lots of projects that we're dreaming up every day, and hopefully will come to fruition. But we're only ramping up more and more, and completely being inspired by everything that's going on around us in the world of art, and utilizing that in our design work, and hopefully inspiring everyone else at the same time. So I think that's really it. That's pretty much everything about our art business. And I think we're going to head back downstairs now.
Thank you. All right, welcome back down to the first floor. So now is that part you've all been waiting for. We'll do questions, and we're happy to answer just about anything. Yes, ma'am.
What was the hardest thing about creating like a small branding firm from the ground up?
Getting clients. I mean, if you've got a lot of great ideas, you have to monetize it. You know, if you don't have any money, you don't have any employees. So, I mean, it's pretty basic.
That's the shortest answer he's ever given.
Yeah, but it's the most succinct. I mean, I think that, you know, honestly, one of the hardest situations about collaborations in the design field, art field, pick and choose, it's monetizing it. I mean, we all love and we all have passion for this, but if we can't turn it into a business, it's very, very hard. And I think everyone gets frustrated, especially from the art side. You know, our fine artist has a garage full of work he's done. You know what I mean? So it's just like every day we work to build more bridges, create more clients, get more people to understand art and design. And I think that helps us all, the spectrum, and helps us all with work.
Did you have any specific ways of troubleshooting that you
It's kind of in our story. It wasn't so much troubleshooting, it was just going out with a story that differentiated us from other people. And I mean, we were very careful with the strategy that we did. I mean, it was the way you know, Chris and I kind of had set up this startup design firm. Mike had this really cool art studio, and he was doing some design. And so when we all came together to form, that was kind of the impetus for starting, you know, and then it was just kind of like sit down, strategize, get that story very finite, and then go out and look for clients that best fit a story we could help them tell.
Yeah, I think, hello. I think like what I was talking about on the second floor, where we kind of had this you know, nice hypothesis of saying like, hey, Cincinnati has this really great thing with all this branding here. We've all been, you know, exposed to this on a whole lot of different levels, but really bringing the art into it. You know, we targeted quite a few places initially too. That just said like, hey, here's the type of client that we think would really resonate with what we're trying to do. You know, what we were really trying to do is something that was, you know, extremely innovative, something that's, you know, kind of the mashing of two different worlds, right? So Jay has some pretty funny client stories, you know, initially, and I think what makes it really interesting is when you're trying to do something really different, it gives you really the opportunity to approach clients very differently, right? So, you know, if you're working in a field of innovation, people expect you to come with different ideas and different angles. So, you know, it really allows us to be almost kind of like, I don't want to say brash, but kind of. You know, it's like, hey, you know, we're an innovation firm. You got a problem, we can help you. You know, it's like, hey, sorry to tell you that this isn't working, but we have the answer. You know, so I think like initially, you know, when you have, you know, just a couple people working in the studio, there's not a whole lot to lose. It's really getting out there. You know, it's putting your face out there.
Run into a lot of problems of, you know, something like type or bounce dryer sheets versus like not comparing to Snuggle, but taking a more art approach. Do a lot of these larger brands kind of push back on that a lot? Do you run into problems?
So far, we haven't done any CPG work. We're kind of happy with that. We're really, our ballywick is lifestyle design, but we just took on Xavier Sports as a client. So, and they literally said to us, we don't want to look like a college athletic force anymore. We're Big East. We're top 10 basketball programs in the country. We have to use that image. And they came to us and they said, give us art, give us new stuff, give us stuff we've never seen before, we thought we'd never see. So I think we're all kind of seeing the world kind of open up to design getting a little bit higher end, and I think that we've been very blessed with having clients that have let us run. Look at New Riff Distillery, look at the Blue Horse in Lexington, look at Livestrong. I mean, Livestrong just said, go. We can't be Lance Armstrong anymore. Tell us who we are, because they didn't know. So that's where we've really been fortunate. We've had a lot of really good clients who've given us a lot of space to run. Yep. I know everybody bobbed their head when I said questions, so don't be afraid to ask them.
We're going to bribe you if you don't start asking.
Yeah.
So.
Matt?
I know you guys are really active in Covington. How has it been getting our projects approved, or like finding buildings, like the space part of getting these pieces put up? How has that been?
Well,
Pass the mic.
yeah.
Pass the mic.
We've become really good friends with the city, and that helps. Sometimes
We actually hired the city's art director, so that probably didn't hurt.
Yeah. Jay likes to say that sometimes we act and ask forgiveness later, but a lot of times it is just sort of a group effort between the building owner, and if you put out a call for buildings, especially now, we get more buildings than we have artwork to put on them, basically. At this point, it is because the city is really starting to understand mural work, urban contemporary art, graffiti art, if you want to call it that. I think it gets a lot easier. I mean, it doesn't come without its challenges. The fail mural, for instance, the guys were painting on the wall, and the bank was worried about the fact that the word fail was going to be on their building. So Jay and I spent an entire morning trying to fight to keep the artist collective's name on their mural. And it was a lot of back and forth and a lot of convincing and talking and holding hands. But eventually we were able to make some small tweaks and have everyone be happy. I mean, it's a constant sort of, every situation is different, and when we started it was a lot more difficult than it is today.
Yeah. It's surprising the municipalities we talk to now, they embrace it. We really knew that the fail piece was going to be kind of a game changer. Actually, the little piece we did, the Love the Cove piece, was actually the game changer. I mean, that was that moment in time where everybody said, this is a really good story, this is something we can rally around, thanks for doing it, blah, blah, blah. And then it changed the tone. So when we put the fail mural, when we went after those walls, we knew we were fighting historic regulations, blah, blah, blah. So we did it on the back. So it was actually a problem-solving piece for the city, because they were trying to drive traffic from Main Strasse to Madison, and they didn't have any way to draw people down 6th. So when we pitched the city to do it, we basically told them, we're going to do it, you can't stop us. So, but we're going to tell you, I mean, it's on the back of the building, so their historic covenants didn't register. But we said, we're doing this with you intent, and the city manager is a very conservative man. The day the mural was finished, he stopped me on the street and gave me this humongous hug. He was like, I love it. It totally tells a different story about Covington. You guys are so right. I will not get in your way anymore. And it was like the skies opened up and we ran through. But each new city is a different challenge. But what we're seeing is that this whole creative placemaking piece that Leslie's really driving, and Kate, it's very open and people want it. I mean, we've had great sponsors. Hale's helped us. We've done some out of pocket. We've had some other private individuals. But the focus is, it's a big city with a lot of walls. Make it pretty, make it interesting. So
it's pretty obvious that you guys are sprouting your roots here, and mad props for that, committing to something and building something. Is that going to continue 5 years down the line or 10 years down the line? Like, what's the next step?
Define that better. You mean we probably won't look the same in 5 years,
Right.
obviously, because of
So
growth.
You hired a curator, so you have some ideas of how to, I assume, do this on a higher level, on
Yeah.
a sophisticated level.
So we'll do 2 walls at Wynwood at Art Basel in December. So we've already been invited there. So I mean, and we get calls from municipalities around the country, or we're starting to. So yeah, we're blowing it into a bigger model, definitely.
And also also doing more and more of our own work. Jay referenced the Love the Cov mural. You guys, we didn't really talk about it, so some of you may not know what that is, but we did a project for the Cov 200th, which is the Covington Bicentennial, where we designed and produced several murals throughout the city. We called them selfie murals. So basically we invited the public to come take selfies in front of the murals and then post them to social media. And we've done several of them. What's the exact number?
9, something 7 to 9. I don't know.
Yeah, we've already lost track of how many we've done, but they're sort of scattered all throughout the city, and that has really done a huge amount of publicity for us and our business and that portion of our business. And it's also given us confidence that we can go out and sort of join the ranks of some of these artists that we're collaborating with to bring their murals here. We'll actually be painting with them in December in Miami, which is pretty exciting. So I think...
Yeah. I mean, the one piece about our business that we really can't forget about is we love the art, we do it, it's fun. Branding pays the bills. I mean, we're 85% branding. Now, yeah, and we'll see that kind of juggle, but our branding, our design look and feel is very much different than the look and feel you see in the rest of the regional period. And so that's, I mean, if we're going to hang our hats on something, we love the art, we're good at it, we're getting better at it every day, but we really are best at branding, you know. And the projects, again, we've had great clients, but we've taken small projects and turned them into big projects or turned them into big successes, and that's really where we're succeeding, is on the branding side. Not that we're not on the art, but you know, I don't, a lot of times people will say, what do you guys do? I have no idea. I'm looking at the website. You do this, you print, you paint on walls, but it's like branding's what gets us to where we're going. So I want to kind of...
You say it regionally, but like, are there other agencies that do this kind of like gallery/branding?
We haven't found them.
Okay.
I mean, if there are, I mean, invariably, there's probably somebody that kind of does something similar to this. In this neck of the woods, we haven't really uncovered them. So, and it's a great story for us. It's the story that we're starting to tell nationally, you know, and so we're very happy about that. So, but it's that much different, I think, that it plays through.
I mean, a great example that I like to tell is when you're like, you know, when you get done with the project, you know, you promote it, right? You know, because you want eyes to see it, you know, and all that. And the thing that I always like to kind of hang our hat on is, you know, when you're looking at street art, you know, one of the major online publications is Wooster Collective. And when you're talking about branding and major online publications, probably brand new. We're the only agency that's ever been on both, you know, and, you know, when it comes to how many places are doing this, no, there's really not anybody. I mean, the closest, I mean, the only one that I can really think of that really does it really well is probably like Sagmeister, you know, and that's putting us in like a weird different echelon that I don't even know if we're even like comfortable with, but
we're definitely closer
it's very
to that
interesting.
experimental side than we are corporate.
Yeah, totally.
No doubt.
So.
So if branding is 85% of your business right now, how's your team of 11 split up?
8 and 3.
Yeah.
8 and 3, 8, 7.5, 4.5. No, that would be 6.5, 4.5.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, because you kind of bridge both.
We have 3 designers. Chris and I do our creative directors. We have a strategist, copywriter. We have a fine artist, and a curator. And did I leave anyone? And a printmaker.
Yeah.
I think that's 11.
Yeah, I mean, what you'll find with us too, and I think it's a little bit of a sticky question is, you know, we kind of go, you know, back and forth on it. You know, we're small enough where there's only so many people, you know, so like a good example is like, you know, we had a big show in here New Year's Eve, right? And there was 30 pieces, you know, that was made for it, and 4 of them were from people who work here. One of them was our on-staff fine artist, but you know, 4 designers actually had their work hanging alongside all the artists. So you'll see that, you know, we're doing design, we're doing art too. It's very organic.
We don't really split the team that way.
Yeah.
I noticed developer wasn't on the list of employees in-house. Like, are you guys doing work in the digital space at all?
We outsource development. We do we'll do the layout. We can do everything from UX to layout. We don't develop though. It's typically not something that we get a lot of asks for. Just I think because we do a lot of stuff that's very hands-on. Recently we've gotten actually a little bit more web, which we have some capabilities, but you know, when it comes to actually like getting to production, you know, we have partners that help us out with that.
We're pretty big fans of saying we're not a one-stop shop. I mean, we like being a branding boutique. We like being a design boutique. We're very specialized. We like that space. Yeah. We don't do advertising. Questions, questions, questions? Nobody? Yes?
Is there a guide to where all the murals are?
There is, and it's in a pamphlet that's blue and gold on one of those tables that's put up by the city, and feel free to take one of those. It doesn't tell all, I think it tells fairly close, but not all of them, because some have been done since, oh, he's holding them up right now. Cool. And they're emblazoned by the Covington Bicentennial, the 200, so feel free to take those.
Yeah.
You know it.
And the London Police murals are in it's actually the book right in front of you.
Right in front of you.
Yeah. Oh, that was, okay, yeah, thanks for holding those up. Yeah, I mean, again, with the topic being collaboration, I mean, it's very interesting, and it's a challenge for us every day to make sure that the art and the design kind of fit together and work together. And we're constantly making the process better, but it's such a big piece of our kind of DNA that we work very hard to make it fit. You know, and again, we see the fruits, you know, from these decisions we make, but it's a challenge. You know, and we've been approached by a lot of local artists to do stuff, and we always try to fit pieces of that in. It's very hard for us timing wise because we're so busy, but we're phenomenally interested in collaborating with just about anybody. I mean, the arts group the public arts group on the other side of the river is like recently contacted us to like, how do we collaborate and do more things together? So we never like to say that we're just Kentucky because we do a ton of work on the other side. But we're seeing that whole mode of collaboration right now really go kind of mad in this area, and we're very excited by that. Absolutely. All right, great. Any other questions before we let you guys head on to your real world? No? Great. Thank you all very much. It was great having you here. Stay in touch. We do a lot of events, a lot of parties.